Hey, 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 hey. Welcome to Friendship Fridays with your favorite bestie, Giovanni G. Here to help you on the path of being a caregiver and letting you know exactly what this thing looks like, helping you carry the weight of this all, be able to iron it out and plan for it, right? So tonight episode is all about managing this debt. So come in, like, share, subscribe. It is free. So make sure you put your comments in. I want feedback from you guys. I want to get to know exactly what you're feeling, thinking. You have any questions for me? Your favorite bestie is here for you, okay? So we just gonna go ahead and get into it. Tonight is a big one, okay? We all know that managing debt is not for the weak. It's just not. And then when you add on your kids, if you have them, student loans, if you have them, and other grown folk responsibility is like a weight, an elephant foot is on your chest, right? And it's enough to make anybody want to holler. If you got debt, grown folks' bills, it's going to make you want to scream. Now, imagine that, multiplying that by 44 when it comes to managing someone who is in a health crisis, managing their debt on top of your own. It can be uh, overwhelming. It could be emotional. But when a person gets sick, the bills are still due. The bills are still coming. The bills are still rolling through, and there's no way around it, right? So if it's not an OG moment, OMG moment, I don't know what else is. Okay, so if you could have been a fly on the wall and seen this movie of my life on repeat since September 2023, it would have been a oh my God today. Like it has been. I have never cried so much in the 44 years over debt, right? I just be like, oh, stand in line. As long as I owe you, you're never broke. And I've never shed as many tears over someone else's debt, right? So juggling your debt, your children, the needs of your children, the debt of your loved one is like juggling a machete and hot combs. You know that that's not going to work. Machete and hot combs is just not going to work. Cuts and burns all day. So my situation was honestly an abduction, right? In real time. So I had no clue of the debts that my parents had. I had no idea of the bills that they had, the obligation, or even how much money was coming in. I had a general idea of what was coming in, but I had no clue. I had no idea of the multiple bank accounts, the due dates, the deposit dates, or what was on auto pay and what wasn't. I could not even imagine the Uncle Sam piece of it, with all his pockets wide open, with his overpriced interest rate cousins with their hands out. It would definitely bring gray hairs for sure. I got a couple in there, just a couple. Okay, so the first thing you have to do when you're thrown into this as a caregiver and you're thrown into managing the debt of someone else, you have to just step back and breathe. You have to step back, breathe, and have a woosah moment. Plenty of woosahs has saved me. Okay, it has stopped me from losing my mind or going over a cliff, and I still have moments like this is too much. The next thing to do is to find the money. I think it was Jerry McQuire that said, show me the money. You have to see where the money is at. You have to know what is coming in. You have to know what bills is going out, right? So you need to go look through her emails, his or her emails, go on the cell phone apps for banking, just to find out what's coming in. Look back a few months to figure out trends. And so you have to locate the pension. If they're over 65, you have to locate the Social Security and the 401k. If they worked long enough and they was pouring into a 401k, you have to find that as well. You have to find out what's coming in by deposits. So while you're looking through these bank apps or you're looking through the emails, it should say thank you for deposit, or your account went low, or whatever the case may be. That's, you have to be a detective when you're thrown into caregiving and you have to manage the debt. If they're unable to speak or they're not cognitive to be able to tell you what everything is. Okay. You have to get a general idea of when the money drops. So then you know, meaning deposits. So then you know when stuff has to be paid out or how to navigate paying things out, right? And um, the Social Security date, for those that get Social Security date, sometimes those dates change. It's normally around the same. It's like a window of time that it drops on. But in December, the payment, it comes earlier than the expected due date, and it is reduced. So the total amount that you would get in Social Security is reduced in December to balance out the year. So I found that out this December, this last December. That's when I found that out. Like, wait, the money is, yeah. So that's how I found that out. Okay, so once you have an idea of the baseline of the income, you're going to add all of that up. Okay, make sure you find it. I know with my mother's situation, it was multiple bank accounts. So I had to add multiple bank accounts to get them all poured in to figure out exactly what was coming in. Okay, then it will be harder to find a diamond in the sand at the beach if you're trying to find all of this money, especially if it's multiple bank accounts. Now, if you didn't know the banks, like with my situation, I had no idea it was multiple banks. I only knew of two banks, and it was actually four. So I had no idea of the other two, and I ended up stumbling upon them on terms and condition changes emails. That's how I found them. And then I found the actual debit card for those accounts after the fact, right? So you can look deep into the email receipts, go back months in banking apps, and just find trends. Now, you need to note the monthly deductions. So, on most apps, it'll show you how much went out for the month in each account, right? And of course, you can comb through those because sometimes it might just be gas or groceries. You're looking for the things that are constant, right? Student loan payments, IRS payments, electric, gas, phone, those things. You're looking for the constant things. You're not looking for a Target bill, which is granted, it may be a Target credit card, but those are not the solid things that you're looking for because those, the store cards, you can get reductions on. And we'll talk about that. But we're talking about the concrete that's not changing, taxes, electric, gas, water, those things, right? Um, And you also may, because I had to do this, go through actual mail because my mom was not fully paperless, right? So sometimes the older generation are not fully paperless, they're still getting mail, and you actually got to comb through envelopes of mail to see what these bills like. Now, you have found the spending trends, you have discovered the patterns, you need to jot those numbers down, the totals for that, right? Of everything that goes out. And you add all of that up. So then you're going to go ahead and subtract what comes out to what comes in. So what comes in is at the top, and then you're still going to subtract all that comes out. And then the leftover money, of course, you can put that towards the bills or towards credit card payments or adding a cushion. What I ended up doing was using the extra, the little that is left over. I took that to put to the side for incidentals, medicine copays, depends, all the things that you need for glucose, the lancets, the meter sticks, the machine, all those things that you may need. I used the cushion money that was left over every month to put that to the side to be able to pay for that, right? Now, you also need to make sure that you have your power attorney, which we talked about those in the Get Ready series, which is the beginning. I think it was like episode 2, 3. Make sure you check out that series, and you're going to have your power of attorney because you need to send those over to the banks and the creditors to be able to act and move on their behalf, right? Make sure you also change the passwords for something you can remember and to just get it all in order. You can also change the due dates. If they're in good credit standing, you can actually change the due dates. And changing the due dates will kind of help you because, of course, you're managing your own bills. So if your bills that you're managing have the due dates, let's just say the 15th, you can change their due dates to the 14th, 12th, 15th, whatever, to be around yours. But you also have to take into account they may not have any money that drops at that time. Social Security comes in the middle of the month. But it also depends on your birth date and year and all these other little factors. So, in the time you retired or etc. So, you gotta, if you're going to change the due date, you still have to make sure money is in the account so you can pay those things, right? So, I know, for instance, I had to change the car insurance date because I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss the payment because it wasn't on auto pay, and I couldn't figure out how to set it up on auto pay because I didn't want it. I didn't want any more problems. So sometimes you just kind of give up and go with the flow. But yeah, for the most part, if you want to change the date, you can definitely change the dates. Um, when her stroke happened, it was like a ball and chain was tied to my ankle and I got casted overboard, right? And so I had no clue on what I was doing with the money. I had no clue of what was not on auto pay. I was under assumption, because my mother was 68 years old at the time, that those things will be on auto pay. Like, why wouldn't this woman have stuff on auto pay? She got guaranteed money coming in every month, all these pensions and all this stuff. Why wouldn't it be on auto pay? And why is it in all these different accounts? Like, that was unreal to me. So it took me about 2 to 3 months to get everything in order. It was calls from collections, missed payments because I didn't really fully know where everything was, right? And she even had some accounts where money had to be transferred from one account to the next to pay the bills coming out that account instead of having the bills coming out to the account where all the money was. So, trying to get the concept, it took me about 2 to 3 months to get it together. I didn't fully, my mother had the stroke in September. I didn't fully get a handle on the finances until about New Year's, first week of January. So roughly 2 to 3 months. Yeah, December I kind of got it together, but it was still issues. It was missed payments or um, negative accounts because I didn't transfer like I was supposed to transfer, right? Because I had no idea I was supposed to transfer. So I'm like, why is this account negative? But then I went back some months, and that's why I was telling you to go back in the banking. So I went back all the way in the summer. I went back to about May to look at the trends, and I was like, oh, she transfers XYZ amount every month to put over here in this account to pay all the bills over here. Got it. So once I got that together, then I was good to go, and I'm good now. But that first 3 months was, ooh, I was crying to Justin Timberlake River, honey. And when I tell you I was crying, so and so that is, you have to make sure that you buckle down on that because the bills will be coming, going every which way but Sunday. So you have to kind of like buckle down and figure it out quickly because it is not for the weak at all. For a moment of transparency, just to have us a moment of transparency, I am still discovering things, and we are 13 months in, almost 14 months in. I'm still discovering things. I'm still finding out things when it comes to debt. Still finding debts that I didn't know was there. Still getting letters that something went in connect collections because I had no idea it was due or it was existing. So, and because of, she would automatically pay these things instead of having it on auto pay, she would actually manually go in there and pay them. So months and months of not having a payment, but I didn't know about it. I just got a letter last week that something went in collections, and I'm like, wait, what? No, I thought, oh my gosh. So I'm still discovering things 13 months in. And that's why episode 1 in the Getting to Know series, my very first episode, was talking about have the conversation. Get in a business so you can actually know what you're up against in the event that things go left and there is a health crisis, right? So get in the business, know exactly what's going on, know exactly what the money looks like and the debt looks like. I had no idea. My parents had a HELOC on their home, which is a home equity loan. I had no idea of that. I thought the house was paid off. I'm 44. I just figured it was paid off. So those type of things, you have to get down to the nitty gritty. Um, and the door explorer moments, it brings straight tears. And I can laugh now to prevent from crying. This episode, to do this episode, was very emotional for me because it was like I'm still going through it financially with discoveries, right? With door to explore things. So after the tears dry, you have to get to work. And maybe you're tough skinned and maybe you won't cry. Maybe you're just like, maybe you're not easily overwhelmed. But for me, not as easily overwhelmed. For me, I'm easily overwhelmed. I am trying to parent a high schooler, soon to be college student. I'm trying to run businesses. And now I have to do banking. So, yes, credit counseling and banking. So, yeah, it can be a bit much. And then sometimes you can feel like you're drowning, and it's okay. Get in that emotion, feel that emotion, understand it. Don't be shamed about it. It's okay to feel whatever you're feeling about that, right? Um, it could be anger. I have moments of anger and grief. They be all mixed together. Okay. So after you dry them tears up, you have to get to work. Organize the bills and the due dates. Put things in on auto pay, the ones that you can, and try your best to pay off bills, right? When I initially got into the finances, I did the snowball method. I was taught that in college. I thought it was such a good idea. The snowball method is when you take all the smaller things and pay off, and you work your way up to the top to the higher, more costlier things. But hindsight is 2020. Okay. So that method wasn't really ideal because paying off all the small debts did not put a dent in the credit utilization, right? So most when they run your credit, they're looking at how much credit percentage you actually use. And so since I paid off all those little things, a little store cards, little this, little that, it didn't really put a dent in those cards, those higher interest cards or the higher balance cards, right? And so, like I said, hindsight is 2020. So what I should have done is took big chunks of money and put on the higher balances to bring down the utilization. And then I could have got a consolidation loan because her credit score would have raised. And then I could have just did one payment across all the creditors instead of 15. So if you learned anything from me doing all the heavy lifting, try your best to knock off the top higher balances, get you or not pay them off, but get them down some so then it boosts the credit. And then you have a lower utilization, and then you can get some type of consolidation loan or a credit loan or something like that, or you can transfer the balances to one card and only have that one payment, right? And this will kind of free your money up too for to do other things. Okay. And when you have extra money, play slightly over the minimum. So with the credit cards, the store cards, the Target, Capital One, all of those cards, make sure you just pay slightly over the minimum. And of course, let them know she had a stroke, heart attack, whatever the health crisis is. You don't have to share that because it's HIPAA laws. You don't have to share that. But for them to be able to work with you and negotiate with you to get these things down, you can, because it's called a hardship, it's called a crisis, health crisis or financial crisis. Creditors do have these programs that you can get your loved one on. And you sometimes need a doctor's note or information from a physician to send over to them, which is fine. So, like I said, you would take the extra money that you have, you can use it as a cushion as well. Use it for doctor specialist copays because they're out of pocket and they can be expensive. We've had the neurologists, we've had ophthalmologists because of unfortunately my mother has diabetes now, and so that messes with the eyes. So we're having different specialists for that, cataracts, retina stuff, all kinds of things like that. So those different specialists all have copays that are out of pocket. Your insurance will not cover. Um, the medicines that go with those specialists, and other caregiver out of pocket costs. And if you have a little cushion, that will help you pay for those things, right? Inform all the creditors, like I said, about the health crisis and try to negotiate payoffs, and send over your power of attorney, your durable power of attorney, which we talked about, which I talked about in the get your paperwork in order. So, and this will give you the ability to be able to speak on their behalf, right? So you let the creditors know what's going on, and they can speak. You can speak on their behalf and move the money and pay off things and etc. Now, when it comes to the IRS, baby, when I tell you the IRS is they do not play. So they do not negotiate at all, right? And they can set you need to definitely set up a payment plan with them because like student loans and child support, Uncle Sam can garnish the wages. So they can go in and take the pension. Like they can go in the accounts and take the money if you avoid them and don't pay them. Now, one might ask, how can an elderly person who is retired owe the IRS? So, funny you should ask. Anyone over the age of 65 and is drawing Social Security, or if you're drawing Social Security at all, right? You don't have to necessarily be 65. You can be 62, you can be 65 and a half, or 67 and a half. It's different little increments of age that you can take out your Social Security. And of course, you get more or less depending on what age you took it out. But once you start drawing it, you cannot make over a certain amount of money. And once you, unfortunately, a lot of the elderly must go back to work or go work at Walmart. You normally see them at a Walmart greeter or go work at Publix, McDonald's, wherever, to kind of offset the the money that's coming in, the pensions, the retirements, the 401ks, and don't normally be enough to go towards the debt that they have. So they go get a part-time job or go get a little job to kind of offset that cost, be able to buy groceries, co-pays, whatever. So that caused a problem with the tax bracket because you're not allowed to make over a certain amount. So once you do that, Uncle Sam go ahead and put his hands out. He's ready. Run me my money. Give me my money. So that ended up happening with my mother's case. She ended up retiring as a teacher and then she went back to work. And once you go back to work as a teacher, because they make pretty decent money, especially in big cities, that could cause, or that did cause, a trigger with the IRS. And now you owe a bill because they want their cut. And if they don't get their cut in a timely manner, it is a failure to pay penalty that is accrued every day. Their interest is like 27, 29%. So it's worse than a credit card. It is no joke. So they can allow you to do a hardship, right? A lot of creditors have hardship, and so do the IRS. But unfortunately, with the IRS, it will stop your payment plan, but it will not stop the interest from accruing every day, right? So it'll stop it up to a year's time, but that interest is going to keep rolling throughout that whole year's time. So you're going to end up owing more while you're waiting to get out the hardship. So you might as well just keep paying it because that interest is going to keep rolling, right? And so, and that failure to pay fine is going to keep accruing. The only thing that the hardship is stopping you from having to pay a payment every month. But all the fees associated with that payment is still going to accrue. So you might as well just figure it out and pay it. So that's what I ended up doing, just figuring it out and paying it. So you might as well just add it to your electric bill. Make it a line item, budget line item, because Uncle Sam gonna want his money. And finally, cut back and reduce if you can. Maybe she has streaming, him or her has streaming services for TV or a high cell phone bill paying or assurances that does not apply to them. In my mother's case, she has a hospital insurance. I was so excited. I was like, oh, yes, this can help us out a lot. Come to find out, the insurance she had only covers if she had an accident. So a car accident, a slip and fall, broke her hip, broke her leg. Wait, what? Doesn't cover illnesses. Wait, what? A hospital insurance plan don't cover illnesses? Nope. And so that's why on one of my episodes in the Get Ready series, it talked about getting your insurance in order, making sure you understand and read in the fine print and you know exactly what your loved one purchased because she's been paying in this policy a long time and it does not cover anything. so please make sure that you read the fine print and know exactly what you're buying. So we ended up canceling that because there's no sense of paying that premium for that if it won't pay out and it won't cover illness. So it's pointless to pay that particular insurance policy. And like I said, make sure you please, 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 if you don't learn anything from none of these videos, read that fine print on that insurance. Make sure you know exactly what you have, understand what is there and what would they cover and what would they not cover, and know what to add on to ensure you have coverage. Make sure you have a gap insurance as well to pick up all the little pieces in between. Okay? So yeah, so make sure that you really read that fine print. Now, managing others' debt is stressful. It's going to bring out all types of emotions, right? Like I said, you may have anger, you may have grief. It's okay to unapologetically feel those emotions and sit in it, okay? Because it's going to be a whirlwind. Okay, it may be overwhelming for you, it may be emotional for you, it may even be painful, right? Because at that point, you're working for two people, yourself and your loved one, and managing two people's financial obligations to whatever they are obligated to, right? So understand that you are not alone. Make sure you ask for help. Reach out to like debts counseling and do all your research as you can. Go here on YouTube University, go on Google, reach out to different they have different programs to help you navigate this thing, but just know you're not alone, and you this too shall can pass. Like I said, reduce the credit cards down to a minimum balance, a minimum payment, and see if you can negotiate to pay off, close out that account, and etc. If you have the right credit utilization, make sure you get a consolidation loan and just have one payment instead of a million payments. Make sure you set up an IRS payment plan in the event that they owe the IRS. Don't miss that plan, because if you miss it, they can do a garnishment. And you don't want that, because it will offset, it will do a ripple effect. It would be like a domino effect to the other bills. If the IRS goes into this bank account, take out the money, then the rest of the bills will suffer. So just make sure you keep that up. And I thank you for tonight for giving me 30 minutes or less of your time. And I will hope to see you next week for the third series. Yay, we have got two series down. We are going into the third season, third series, which will be speaking about the faces of caregiving. And it will be talking about different stories. I will be interviewing people that are going through what I am going through, or totally different, because all of our stories are totally different. And I'm excited for you to hear the stories and learn from them. And we'll learn from each other. We're building a community of besties to help us get through this whole thing together. So I thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate you liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing, because what? It's free. And just being here with me on Fridays at 9 p.m. And I can't wait to see you next week, so you can keep learning from me and I can keep learning from you guys, and we can build out this community of besties. So have a wonderful weekend. Prepare, have the conversation, get in your loved one's business, your elderly loved ones, the ones that don't have children, the ones that do have children, grandparents, older uncles, older aunts. Just really pull back the layers and have a family plan to get ready for what may or may not affect your family. The baby boomers are getting older, and the millennials and Gen Zs, X's, we're taking care of them. So you have to prepare for that. Don't be abducted like I was with no plan. Don't drown like I was. And we can get through this together. So I will see you guys next week. And thank you again. Good night, guys. Your favorite bestie is out.